Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Gentech PC product showcase. In today's full-length featured review, we'll be going over the new MSI GE66 Raider. This is going to be a re-release of the old GE66. It has now been refreshed to include the brand new NVIDIA RTX 3070 Max P edition, which is the full-powered version of the RTX 3070. This will be a thin and light gaming focused laptop that has a lot of lighting and flair to it. If you're looking for something of similar specifications but not quite as flashy, check out the MSI GE66 Stealth. So with our intro out of the way, let's get started with our review, and that means we'll start off with our unboxing. You can see that you're going to get this laptop double boxed, so it's going to keep it protected from theft or damage during shipping. And there's lots of protection on both the inside box and the outside box as far as foam and plastic to keep everything from getting scratched or crushed. So once you get your internal box open, the laptop's pretty much front and center, so easy to access and get fully unboxed. We have a little pamphlet with our warranty information and just general product information. And then we have just one more smaller box left, and this is going to of course have our power adapter. So this is going to be the power cable, and this will be different depending on your region that you're ordering from. And the actual power brick, and we'll go ahead and open that up so you can see the wattage rating. So the power supply is the same 230 watt rating as we saw with the GS66, and it's the same brand. However, if you notice, the actual power connector is different. As far as the system size and weight benchmarks, those will be found in our old GE66 review. Alright, so here we are with our system powered up for the first time, and it's a pretty impressive looking package. If you like lighting and flare, it's definitely got no shortage of that in that front area. We do have that incredibly fast 300 Hz screen, so this is going to be a super fast refresh rate for gaming. Ultra thin bezels, built-in HD webcam, and microphone. Over in the bottom right hand corner we have our sticker that kind of advertises some of the main features in here. We do have the new Wi-Fi 6, the huge 99.9 watt-hour battery, the good speaker system, and of course the NVIDIA RTX 3070. You can see the keyboard's a standard low-profile chiclet style keyboard, embedded arrow keys. This is individually backlit keys, so they can be individually controlled and addressed. That large oversized touchpad with the integrated left and right clicks. So let's go ahead and address our interfaces along the perimeter of the laptop. On the left hand side we have our Kensington lock port, a USB 3 type A port, a USB 3 type C port, and our 3.5mm connection for headphones. Now to the back side of the laptop we have our MSI logo located here at the top of the lid. You can see that's textured and raised. And we do have interfaces on the back of the laptop. So mini display port, a USB type C port, RJ45, HDMI, and of course the power charging port. And finally, as we get to the right hand side, you can see in the center is a card reader, and in both sides of it is a single USB port, and then just some ventilation holes. So overall you have really good connectivity. You have connectivity options from all three of the major sides, which makes getting it connected a lot easier. Moving right along into the next part of our review, we'll get the hardware baselines before we get into our benchmarks. So here in the device manager, you can see the brand new RTX 3070 GPU, and that's the big upgrade to this model. We're still retaining the Core i7, that's one of the higher end i7 CPUs out there. We have great features such as the killer for the wired networking and the high-end Intel wireless that has the brand new Wi-Fi 6 protocol. The screen is definitely one of the highlighted features because it's a 1080p screen and has a 300 Hz refresh rate, which means it can keep up with any kind of fast-paced gaming. And while we mentioned it once before, it's worth mentioning again, the GPU is the Max P edition, which is the full power version of the 3070, not the Max Q edition, which runs a little bit cooler because it's lower powered. And here is the information on that RTX 3070. You can see everything here in GPU-Z. And our current baseline ambient temperatures, you can see the CPU right now is more or less about 50 degrees Celsius. Some of those cores getting as high as close to 70 degrees Celsius. So we'll keep those in mind when we get to our after benchmark numbers. And down towards the bottom, as we get to the 3070, you can see its current temperature right now is about 40 degrees Celsius max. Our next baselines to collect is going to be the noise levels and the external temperatures. So here's the sound meter. And the best way to read these baselines is, of course, watching more than one review of similar systems and see how they compare. And with our infrared thermometer, we can see what the outside temperatures are reading and where the hot spots on the system are. Most of that heat is concentrated towards the back cooling solution, and you can see where your hands go, it stays nice and cool. Now moving into the actual benchmarking section, 3D Mark Firestrike up and running. Let's check out those baselines again and see how much they've gone up. And remember, cooling is usually a balance between the noise and the heat. So we want to see that the noise isn't too bad, but we don't want our heat to be too bad either. And overall, between the two, we get the efficiency of the cooling system. So as we can see, there's definitely been an increase in the noise levels and the external heat here. But what will be really interesting is to see the actual internal temperatures once the benchmarks are complete. And we'll see how well the cooling system actually kept those components cool. So here we are, 3D Mark Firestrike has finished 22,231 points, which is a super nice score. You can definitely see the difference between the Max P edition, which is max power, and the Max Q, which is going to be more of an efficient GPU without as much power and heat. Cooling wise, our CPU only about 80 degrees Celsius as a maximum temperature, which is actually incredibly cool for one of these high-end multi-core CPUs in a laptop. And lastly, how did the GPU fare? Well, if we scroll down a little bit further, we can see the RTX 3070 only 68 degrees Celsius max. So all the way across the board, high performance numbers, great cooling numbers. This machine did a phenomenal job as far as the benchmarks. And here is Cinebench R15. Our final scores there was 136 frames per second and 1,732 Cinebench points. On the chart down below, you can see it's pretty much topping the chart. And the best way to use these numbers, much like others, is just to compare it to similar systems and see how it compares. And moving right along into the last portion of the review, the disassembly of our system. So there's a handful of screws to remove, and luckily they're all the same size, so you don't have to worry about putting them back wrong. And that'll take the entire bottom panel off. So once you get a look under the hood, you'll see that we have a 2-fan cooling solution, a huge battery that takes up about 1/3 of the space. In the center right, we have the 2 system RAM slots, and those are both already occupied. To the left of the RAM is where you're going to find your M.2 SSD slots. That battery is a 99.9 watt hour battery, which is the largest battery you can put in a laptop. And looking closely at the cooling solution, you can see how thick the heat pipes are, which is probably one of the reasons why it was so impressive during the benchmarking section. Standard of fare Intel wireless, this is Wi-Fi 6. And the M2 SSDs, you have one slot already filled and a second slot available, so you could add a secondary SSD into this slot. As we break down the system a little bit further, now you can see the bare motherboard and get a look at the components underneath of the cooling solution. You can see the CPU and the GPU are right there directly on the motherboard. They're not in any kind of slots. System RAM slots are now empty, batteries removed. So there's the system RAM, and you can see the robust cooling solution. Our huge battery, the auxiliary cards, and our SSD all removed. And that's the full disassembly for us as far as this review goes. So with our full disassembly completed, that is actually going to complete our review today, and we do hope that you were able to enjoy our detailed review of the MSI GE66 Raider. If you're looking for a fairly thin and light, high-end gaming laptop or business laptop, as long as you don't mind the flare, this is a great fit because as you can see, the components are top-notch, cooling and everything else also top-notch. So this rates as one of the better performing laptops we've seen recently. So if this video has you interested in this model and you'd like to learn a little bit more, go check out the video description and find the product page link, and there you can find the current pricing and availability. If you have any general questions that the video wasn't able to answer for you, feel free to ask those questions down below in the comment section and we'll read those, answer them for you and everybody else. But never forget that we do have our phone and email available to you if you need some one-on-one help with personal questions. So once again, we just want to remind you that this is GenTech PC, and we'll see you next time.